I still remember the exact moment she leaned in and whispered, "You'll never be enough." It felt like a challenge thrown at my chest, sharp, unexpected, and impossible to ignore. Who was she really talking to? And why did her words echo louder in my head than any cheer I'd ever heard? Have you ever been told something so devastating that it lit a fire under your skin? That moment, the sting of doubt, the twist of anger, became the spark that would redefine my entire life. From broken hearts to unexpected friendships, from midnight fights to whispered promises, this is the story of how I took the one phrase meant to break me and built a world so powerful it made those words shrink into nothing. Along the way, you'll meet people who believed in me, people who tried to tear me down, and a journey of love, betrayal, hope, and redemption that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let's start at the beginning. Rain slicked the pavement outside Marcus's dimly lit basement party, turning the streetlights into golden streaks on black asphalt. I stood by the door, hoodie pulled tight, heart racing not from the thunderstorm but from nerves I couldn't shake. Emma was here. Emma, whose laughter used to feel like summer, and I hadn't seen her in 6 months. Inside, the music thumped, and the air smelled of stale beer and regret. My best friend Sam waved me over, eyebrows raised. "You ready for this?" I forced a grin. "As ready as I'll ever be." We squeezed through the crowd until we found her in a corner, surrounded by half-familiar faces. Her eyes met mine, cool and unreadable. For a second, I forgot to breathe. Then she turned her head, and loud enough for me to hear, said to her new friends, "He's great and all, but honestly, you'll never be enough to make up for what I lost." My chest tightened. Not once did she glance back at me. I wanted to disappear. How could she say that? Had every plan I'd made, every promise I'd whispered to myself been worthless? Sam caught my arm. "Let it go, man." I yanked free. "No, I need to hear why." I stepped forward, voice trembling. "Emma, what did you mean?" She blinked, surprised, then shrugged like it was nothing. "I meant what I said." My heart splintered. Memories of late-night talks, shared dreams, and her soft smile flashed before me. Was it all a lie? Or was she hiding something darker, some fear I never saw coming? Before I could ask another question, she slipped away, swallowed by the crowd. I felt an urgency claw at my gut, anger, hurt, and a fierce determination I couldn't ignore. I wasn't going to let her words define me. That night, soaked by rain and spite, I made a promise to myself. I'd build a life so full, so unapologetically mine, that any doubt she or anyone else ever planted would wilt and die. The morning after Emma's words, sunlight cut through my blackout blinds like tiny daggers against my skin. Wiping sleep from my eyes, I stared at the sticky note I'd slapped on my mirror. Build her words small. It was more than a mantra. It was a promise I intended to keep. My phone buzzed, a text from Sam. "You still going to that interview?" I'd almost forgotten I had one. A marketing manager role at a startup, the kind of job that would mean a fresh city, new faces, and a chance to rewrite my story. I paused, heart thumping, fear and excitement tangled in my chest. Then I typed back, "Hell yes." As I dressed, memories of my old routine, late-night gaming sessions, empty pizza boxes, and endless scrolling flooded back. I tossed on a crisp shirt, jeans that fit like armor, and a pair of beaten-up sneakers that had seen better days. Today, those shoes would carry me into the next chapter of my life. On the bus, I scribbled ideas on a napkin, marketing angles, personal branding strategies, a vision board coming to life. Each line bolstered my resolve. No more excuses, no more waiting for validation. By the time I reached the office lobby, my reflection in the glass doors looked different. Not just a guy broken by a phrase, but someone forging himself anew. The interview was a whirlwind. Questions about campaigns I'd led, budgets I'd managed, failures I'd turned into wins. I shared stories of late nights, of brewing ideas over cheap coffee, of rallying a small team to beat impossible odds. When they asked why I wanted this job, I looked them in the eye and said, "Because I'm done being small." They laughed, kind of, and offered me the position on the spot. Walking out, offer letter in hand, the city seemed to hum in approval. That night I called my sister, letting her hear the pride in my voice. I felt something I hadn't in months, hope. And underneath it, a quiet spark of revenge. Not against Emma, but against the doubt she planted. Little did I know, this victory was only the beginning. I stepped into the open plan office, heart racing, not from fear, but from excitement that crackled in the air. Leah, the startup's analytics whiz, flashed me a grin as she slid into the seat beside me, her eyes alight with genuine curiosity about the stranger-turned-colleague selling big ideas. We brainstormed campaign strategies over lunch, her laughter a balm to every leftover ache from Emma's words. For the first time since that rainy night, I felt seen, not for what I'd lost, but for what I could become. But happiness is always on borrowed time. A ping on my laptop drew my attention to a DM from Emma. 4 words that stabbed sharper than her whisper, "Saw your new life." My stomach churned. Her tone was neither apology nor pride, but a challenge wrapped in distance. Leah noticed the shift in my mood and placed a hand on my arm, steady and reassuring. "You good?" she asked, voice soft, like she understood pain without needing details. I realized I didn't have to fight demons alone anymore. Later that night, staring at Emma's message on my screen, memories and new dreams collided in my mind. I drafted a reply, deleted it, drafted again, unable to decide whether to close the door or crack it open for closure. As I logged off, I sensed a storm gathering, not of weather, but of hearts and egos clashing in the chapters yet to come. I knew the next move could build me up or break me down, and I was ready to risk everything. I woke up to the ping of my phone, my heart lurching at the sight of the group chat titled Team Spark lighting up my screen. Messages flooded in, Leah's "congrats again" mixed with Sam's curious emojis. My boss, Damien, chimed in with a link to Project Orion, a high-stakes campaign rumored to redefine the market. Excitement and dread tangled in my chest. This was my moment to prove I belonged. At noon, our brainstorming session felt electric until Damien dropped a bomb. He needed a bold pivot, an idea so risky it could backfire spectacularly. Leah's confident smile faltered. She leaned forward, voice low. "We can't afford to fail on this one." The room went silent, tension crackling between us like static. I swallowed hard, recalling Emma's words echoing in my mind. "You'll never be enough." But then I felt something else, a surge of defiance, a reminder that my growth wasn't defined by her doubts. Drawing on late-night sketch sessions and marketing theories I devoured, I pitched a guerrilla campaign that targeted real stories from our users. Damien raised an eyebrow, the room hanging on his every expression. Finally, he nodded, slow and deliberate. "Let's do it." Cheers erupted, and for a moment I believed in the improbable, that fear and doubt could be alchemized into triumph. Leaving the office that night, the city lights felt warmer, more like celebration than challenge. But as I crossed the street, a familiar text lit up my screen. Emma. Saw the campaign teaser. Impressed. My thumb hovered over the reply key, mind racing. Did her approval matter, or was I chasing shadows? I pocketed the phone, determination settling in my jaw. This life was mine, doubts and doubts alone. Our guerrilla campaign began at dawn. By 6 a.m. the city's heart was still quiet, every side street a canvas waiting for a spark of chaos. Leah, Sam and I rolled out massive posters depicting raw user stories ripped from social feeds, joyous triumphs, heartbreak confessions, and whispered regrets. Each poster was plastered next to everyday scenes: a vendor's cart, a bus stop, the corner graffiti wall. By midday, phones buzzed. Videos of strangers reacting to their own stories went viral. Tears, laughter, surprise. Our hashtag trended. Headlines praised our marketing poetry, and Damien beamed, pride sparking in his dark eyes. But victory tastes sweeter when it teeters on the edge of disaster. Just as the campaign peaked, a rival agency accused us of violating privacy, claiming we hadn't secured explicit permissions. Overnight, our triumph morphed into a potential PR nightmare. In the war room, tension crackled. Damien's jaw clenched. Leah's hands shook as she scrolled through angry tweets. Sam curled into himself, guilt shadowing his features. I looked each of them in the eye. We did it because those stories deserve to be told. My voice low but unbreakable. And we'll fix this together. That night, we worked around the clock, reaching out to every featured user, securing signed releases, crafting honest apologies where needed, and celebrating the campaign's impact on mental health awareness. By sunrise, our bravery had flipped the narrative, not exploiters, but champions of authentic voices. In the aftermath, as award season buzzed on social, I realized the gamble was more than a career move. It was a testament to transformation born from doubt. Emma's words had lit a fire. Now our smoldering ashes glowed into something unstoppable. Ever felt your heart split between loyalty and desire? The night air on the rooftop bar felt electric as confetti from the campaign launch drifted like stars around us. Leah's laughter, warm and genuine, wrapped around me in a way that chased away any lingering doubt. I caught her eye across the crowded balcony and realized this wasn't just gratitude, it was something more. But Sam stumbled into our moment. The flicker of something unreadable in his gaze, his sideways glance at Leah sparked a twist of guilt and protectiveness in me, and I felt the first sharp pang of jealousy slicing through my chest. Then my phone buzzed. Emma. 3 words on the screen: we need to talk. And suddenly my world tilted again. I stood at a crossroads of my own making, torn between the past's familiar ache and a future that felt both thrilling and terrifying. My jaw set. I'd learned to face storms head-on, but this storm raged inside me, and no guerrilla tactic could save me now. The night was far from over, and I knew the choices ahead would test every promise I'd made, and break some along the way. The next morning, a plain envelope slipped under my door, its familiar scrawl spelling out Emma's name. Inside, her confession lay bare. She'd lost her sister to addiction years ago, and terrified of losing anyone again, she'd pushed me away with harsh words. That revelation struck like lightning, twisting anger into a deep, unexpected sorrow. Just then, Leah's text pinged. "Lunch?" And seconds later, Sam's call buzzed on speaker, drawing both of them into my cramped apartment. I showed Leah the note, voice cracking as I admitted she wasn't trying to break me. She was scared of getting hurt. Leah reached out, her fingers steady on mine, her eyes reflecting understanding I hadn't known I needed. But Sam's expression darkened as he asked if I still planned to meet Emma that evening, concern and doubt warring in his gaze. My mind raced. Pursue the ghost of the past for closure, or protect the new life I'd fought so hard to build? My pulse thundered in my ears. This felt like the story's climax, the decisive moment where everything I'd become would be tested. Taking a trembling breath, I realized this twist was not the end, but the bridge to true resolution, and that I was finally ready to cross it. The envelope in my hand wasn't just paper, it was the tipping point where every choice I'd ever made collided. I stared at Emma's invitation. "Meet me at the old pier, 7 p.m. No excuses." My pulse thundered. Every memory of laughter and betrayal exploded in my chest. Leah's encouraging text blinked on my screen, reminding me of the sanctuary we'd built together at work, and perhaps something deeper. Sam's voice echoed in my mind, warning me not to let old wounds reopen, yet his concern only highlighted how much I'd grown since that rainy night. I stood at my apartment window as the sun dipped low, torn between two worlds, the past's fragile possibilities and the future's uncharted promise. Finally, I grabbed my jacket, heart set like flint. No more hiding from fear. Tonight, I would face the woman who once broke me, and the man I was still becoming. Twilight painted the old pier in shades of lavender and rose as I stepped onto the weathered boards, each creak echoing in my chest like a warning bell. Emma stood at the far end, the wind tugging at her hair, her silhouette framed by the restless river below. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved, two souls suspended between past pain and the promise of something new. "I'm glad you came," she said quietly, voice barely louder than the water lapping against the pylons. My throat tightened, every memory of her whisper, "You'll never be enough," flared in my mind, begging for reckoning. "I needed answers," I replied, stepping closer. "And so do you." Her eyes glistened, confessing more than words ever could. She unfolded a second letter, my name scrawled on the front, and I recognized the trembling script as my own from years ago. Inside, I had written to my future self, promises of courage, of growth, of proving her wrong, and forgotten it the moment I folded it. "I kept this because I needed to believe you'd find your way back," she whispered, placing my words in my hands. The river's hush swallowed us as I read my own vow. Build her words small, build my life large. Tears stung my eyes, not for regret, but for the journey that had brought me here, stronger, bolder, and finally enough. Emma reached out, fingertips brushing mine, and in that gentle collision, I felt the dissolve of every doubt she'd ever cast. Above us, the first stars emerged, witnesses to a promise reborn. "Thank you," I said, voice steady, "for reminding me who I'm meant to be." She smiled, and for the first time those words, "never be enough," shrunk into the night breeze, powerless against the life we'd reclaimed together. The morning after the pier revelation, sunlight poured through my window, echoing the very first moment I chose to build my life larger than any doubt. At the office, the Team Spark group chat buzzed with congratulations, but this time the messages carried warmth instead of electric tension. Leah slid a congratulatory coffee across my desk, her smile reflecting the same pride she'd shown when we first pitched Project Orion. Sam leaned in, eyes bright, and said, "You made her words small and ours feel huge," reminding me how much we'd all grown since that rainy night. Later, Emma appeared by my cubicle, folding her arms shyly before passing me a handwritten note. "Thank you for listening." Her apology shimmered with sincerity I hadn't dared to hope for. That evening, on the rooftop where our guerrilla campaign was born, we gathered once more under the glow of city lights, a quiet celebration of endings and beginnings. I raised a glass to the team, to friendship forged in chaos, and to love tempered by truth, each memory a brick in the life I'd built. Leah slipped her hand into mine, grounding me as the wind carried our laughter into the night sky. Below us, the city pulsed with possibility, every street a reminder that even the smallest voice can echo beyond its walls. As stars blinked awake overhead, I whispered to Emma, "I finally feel enough." And in her eyes, I saw that the promise had been real all along. 6 months after the pier revelation, our lives unfolded with the same sense of possibility that had first drawn me into Emma's orbit. The startup's lobby hummed with celebration as Project Orion received industry accolades, and I realized in that moment how far we'd come from late-night brainstorms and guerrilla posters plastered on bus stops. Leah stood beside me, her beaming smile a reminder that true connection often blooms in the most unexpected collaborations. Sam toasted to the team's success, his voice steady and warm, proof that wounded friendships can be rebuilt stronger than before. Emma arrived in the lobby, her eyes catching mine across the crowd, and in that glance I saw both apology and pride intertwined, a testament to healing born from honest confession. As we gathered under a canopy of city lights later that evening, each of us felt the quiet power of closure and new beginnings, our shared laughter echoing the promise that every ending is also a new start. Standing on the rooftop where our story once teetered between collapse and triumph, I pressed my palm against the peeling paint of the railing, the same spot where doubt had first challenged me, and smiled, knowing I was finally enough.